Nezha wasn't born a hero. He was born like a warning, a child who arrived with too much power, too much fate, and way too little patience for the rules of the world. In most myths, a chosen one is supposed to be gentle, noble, and morally clean. Nezha is the opposite. He's chaos in a child's body, danger wrapped in divinity someone. The heavens would rather erase than understand, and that's why his story still hits today, because Nezha isn't just a myth, he's an argument. An argument about what happens when the system is unfair, when authority hides behind order, and when a person refuses to accept the role they were assigned. So today, we're diving into Nezha, the rebel who challenged heaven, how a so-called demon child became an immortal legend. The problem with being born different, Nezha's story begins before he ever throws a spear. His mother, Lady Yin, carries him for an impossibly long time, 3 years and 6 months. That alone tells you what kind of myth this is. This isn't a normal birth. This is destiny dragging its feet. As if the world itself is unsure whether it should allow this child to exist. And when Nezha finally arrives, he doesn't come out like a baby. He comes out as something closer to a sign. Some tellings say he's born as a flesh ball. Others describe a strange radiance. Either way, the message is the same. Nezha isn't entering society. He's interrupting it. Even his identity is complicated. In many versions, he's tied to cosmic forces, a reincarnation of a powerful spirit meant to resolve an imbalance in the world. But to the ordinary people around him, that doesn't matter. All they see is a child with unnatural power. And in any society, ancient or modern, when someone is born too different, the first response isn't curiosity, it's fear. The moment Nezha becomes a legend is also the moment he becomes a criminal. One day, Nezha goes to the sea. Trouble finds him like fate. In some versions, he's bathing. In others, he's playing, but Nezha's presence agitates the waters. His power disturbs the sea's order, and that draws the attention of the Dragon King's domain. Now, in Chinese mythology, the Dragon Kings are not cartoon dragons. They are divine rulers of the waters, storm makers, rain bringers, guardians of ocean law. Their authority is real, cosmic, and deeply connected to human survival, which makes what happens next even more intense. Nezha clashes with the Dragon King's forces. He kills a powerful sea figure often described as the Dragon King's son, Ao Bing, and immediately the story changes tone, because this isn't a playground fight anymore. This is a political incident. Nezha has effectively harmed the royal bloodline of a divine sea kingdom. The Dragon King isn't just angry, he has a legal claim, and like any powerful authority, he uses it. He storms to Nezha's father, Li Jing, and demands punishment. Not a conversation, not understanding, not mediation, punishment. That's the first major theme of Nezha's myth. When power feels threatened, it doesn't negotiate, it crushes. The Dragon King takes his grievance to heaven. And here's where Nezha's story becomes more than a fight, it becomes a courtroom drama. Because the Dragon King isn't just a villain throwing a tantrum, he's a divine official with status. He knows how the system works, he knows how to file the complaint, and the system listens. Nezha is a child, a reckless one, sure. But the punishment that follows isn't proportional to a child's mistakes. It's the punishment of a system defending itself. The Dragon King's retaliation escalates. Storms and floods threaten the people. The implication is brutal. If the criminal isn't surrendered, everyone suffers. So Nezha faces a dilemma that heroes face in modern stories all the time. Do you protect yourself? Or do you protect the innocent from the consequences of your existence? This is where Nezha does something that still shocks people. He chooses to pay the price himself. Nezha's most famous moment isn't a victory, it's a sacrifice. To stop the Dragon King from destroying his family and community, Nezha offers his life. Different versions describe it differently, but the symbol is consistent. He returns his body to his parents. He severs the debt of life and blood, as if saying, if my existence is the curse, then I'll erase myself. This is not the act of a monster. It's the act of a child who realizes the world will punish everyone around him just to punish him. And that is the second major theme of Nezha's myth. The innocent often pay for the system's need to keep order. Nezha dies, but his story doesn't end, because in mythology, death isn't always an ending. Sometimes it's a transformation. After Nezha's death, his spirit doesn't disappear. He returns to his spiritual mentor, the immortal sage Taya Zenran, who represents something Nezha has lacked from the beginning, a teacher who understands him. Taya doesn't treat Nezha like a mistake. He treats him like a force that needs direction. And instead of resurrecting Nezha with ordinary flesh, he does something symbolic and beautiful. He rebuilds Nezha using lotus roots and lotus leaves. This matters because the lotus in Chinese symbolism is purity rising from mud, something sacred emerging from chaos. Nezha, the demon child, becomes a lotus-born body, a new self beyond ordinary human birth. It's rebirth, not repair. It's the myth's way of saying, Nezha wasn't meant to fit the world as it was. He had to be remade into something that could survive it. And when Nezha returns, he isn't just alive. He's upgraded. He returns with divine weapons, a fire-tipped spear, a cosmic ring, and the iconic windfire wheels. Flaming wheels that let him move like a meteor across the sky. This is where Nezha becomes what most people picture, a young war god, fast, fierce, and impossible to control. But his greatest conflict is still waiting, because the person who failed him first is still standing in front of him. His father, Nezha's relationship with Li Jing is one of the most painful parts of his myth. Li Jing isn't portrayed as purely evil. He's a man trapped between family and authority, a father who fears the consequences of his child's power, a government official who wants order more than he wants understanding. And in many versions of the story, Li Jing rejects Nezha even after his rebirth. Not because he hates him, because he fears him, and fear makes people do unforgivable things while telling themselves they're being responsible. This becomes a deeper theme than monster fights. Nezha isn't just fighting demons. He's fighting the idea that authority is always right. He's fighting a world that says, your power is dangerous, so you must be controlled, even if the control destroys you. So Nezha rebels against the sea, against heaven's bureaucracy, and against his own family's expectations. And that rebellion is exactly what makes him immortal. Because in myth, the rebels are the ones who reveal the system's cracks. Why Nezha still matters. If Nezha's story was only about magic weapons, nobody would remember it like this. Nezha matters because he embodies a contradiction that people still live with. He is both dangerous and righteous. He is both rebellious and sacrificial. He is both a troublemaker and a protector. And that's why different generations interpret him differently. Some see Nezha as a warning. Power without discipline becomes disaster. Others see him as a revolutionary. Sometimes the system needs to be challenged. And modern audiences often see him as something even more personal, a person who was labeled a monster, and chose to become a legend anyway. Nezha's myth asks a question that never goes away. When you don't fit the world's rules, do you shrink yourself to survive? Or do you break the rules and risk becoming the villain in someone else's story? Because that's the cruel truth of rebellion. Even when you're right, someone will call you wrong. Even when you're protecting people, someone will call you dangerous. Even when you sacrifice yourself, the system may still label you a threat. But Nezha proves something else too. Being labeled a monster does not make you one. Sometimes it just means you were born with the power to expose what's broken. So was Nezha a demon child. In the eyes of the system, yes, he disrupted order. He embarrassed authority. He made the powerful look weak. But was he an immortal legend? Absolutely. Because the real hero isn't the one who never causes trouble. The real hero is the one who faces the consequences of their existence and still chooses to protect others. Nezha didn't become immortal because he was perfect. He became immortal because he refused to be erased. And if you had to summarize his entire myth in one line, it would be this. Nezha challenged heaven not because he wanted chaos, but because heaven refused to be fair. If you want part 2, we can go even deeper into the darkest question in Nezha's story. Was the Dragon King actually right? Or was it always a rigged system using justice as a weapon? Drop your verdict in the comments. Was Nezha a hero or a threat?